Ski Dad.
Welcome back to Ski Dad TV. This is part 2 of base skiing, an offensive approach to ski racing. My video series presenting my philosophy on the sport of ski racing and an offensive approach or a game plan to achieve the best results of your life. In part 2, we are going to go over turn shape and then where to put that turn shape around the gates, otherwise known as line. The base skiing philosophy is super simple, and if you want to go back to part 1 and check it out, I go into everything in more detail. But the philosophy is the primary objective of a race run is to have clean completions. This is achieved with a style that is compact and incorporates a deviation or a drift into the top of the turn, and it also incorporates that the third turn is the first turn, or the third gate of the course is the first turn where you need to be in base position to achieve a good run with clean completions top to bottom. Now we are going to talk about the shape of a turn. And I like to talk about the turn as a comma. Okay, there's a traditional comma, but I like this one a lot more. And what I like about it is it's big and fat up top and then it gets skiddy at the end. And when it's showing, there's a lot more action. There's a lot more activity up here at the top. This would be where your initiation is. And then as you move through the turn or as you ride the turn out, it gets a little skinny. There's a little less activity and a little more motion. And I want to show this via a video that I shot. Now, I go to Woodward with my boys often, and every day on the drive to Woodward, I go around this rotary that I'm going to show right here, and there's this exit that we take, and as we make this move right here, this turn always feels to me like a GS gate, that I'm coming out of that old turn, and I'm moving into this new turn, and boom, this is just like a GS gate. So watch the action as we go into here. Here's the old turn, initiation, apex, riding to completion, okay? And what I like about this is a really good representation of where the action is in the turn, right? Look at all that action, and then it goes away, but I'm still moving, I'm riding, and then you see my hands start coming back the other way. Now would be completion, moving into initiation of the next turn. So now let's take this video, okay, and let's overlay skiing underneath it. And let's show what this would look like in real time. So here's a video of me turning. There's the action of the turn. Completion. Now what I really like to do when I watch this video is to watch the road, not necessarily my hands to start, but watch the road, watch where you can see where I would be turning into the road and riding through completion. Okay, I think it lines up really nicely. Obviously I have to slow down the skiing to match that because I'm not driving that fast there because I'm not trying to get into an accident. Okay, now let's match up the skiing. Here's initiation with the hands and see how much activity really is happening at initiation and how little activity is happening through completion. Okay, so I really like this representation of what's going on within the ski turn and how it actually works and what it looks like. Okay, let's move back to the presentation. Turn is a comma. So I like to think of the turn as a comma. And I like to think of that comma mathematically represented as the golden ratio or the divine proportion. And if you're unfamiliar with the golden ratio, then I recommend going and doing a deep dive into that. It's a really fascinating subject. But I figure if it's good enough for nature, and if it's good enough for the Greeks and all these ancient buildings that are built based on this principle, then it's good enough for ski racing, and it's good enough for me to teach ski racing using this ratio. And based on this ratio, and based on this image specifically right here, I created this little template to help me draw turns for when I'm coaching. I want to be as accurate as I possibly can be. Okay, so when I draw a turn, I want to draw it as accurately as possible. So I use my golden ratio like that. Okay, notice that initiation is happening here and completion is happening out here. And if we were to draw, let's draw a line straight down the middle of the board. Okay, now we're going to do another initiation to completion. Okay, notice that the initiations are outside of that line. Okay, we are not doing initiation, completion, initiation dead on center. Okay, the turn again is a comma. Okay, so we're getting these comma shaped turns where initiation is happening further over here and completion is happening further across the hill this way. Okay, I think this is really important when we're coaching athletes to describe this and explain it to them, especially when so many athletes have such a hard time making it across the hill to the rise line. And so many athletes are trying to start their turn right here down the middle and end up diving in too early and either smashing through the panel or having to lose pressure on the ski and then chatter out and not having a clean completion. So I think it's really important that this comma-shaped turn is the shape that we're drawing and showing the athletes. Now, USSA has this image describing the turn. This is in their handbook level 100 course that I found online. And I do like that they're showing this from apex to apex. Okay, I think that the best way to coach and to make sure when you're talking to athletes about their skiing is apex to apex, because you need to have a clean completion to have a quality initiation into the new turn. Okay, now I do think that their initiation phase is too far across the hill this way. I think that this picture should be completion and this one should be initiation. And then we get back to this where the completion is happening further across the hill and initiation is happening more at the gate. So I do think USSA is a little early with this guy here, but I do like that they're going apex to apex, completion, then initiation. Okay. PSA has their own way of describing the turn. They have initiation, they have shaping phase, they have the finishing phase, and then they have completion down here. Obviously, this is not as high level of a turn, but I did want to show it because PSA has a very good manual out there, and I think it's very accurate. However, in base skiing, and in my approach to skiing, we're going to look at things a little bit different than both PSIA and USSA. So we're going to turn our golden ratio on its side, just like I did over there on the board with my stencil, and we are going to match two on top of each other. And we are going to identify two really important points in the turn. The apex, okay? I like to define the apex. That is where the skis are meeting the fall line. It's after initiation. It's before completion. It's a very defined point in the hill. And you can really judge your line and say exactly where your line was based on your apex, okay? So I think apex is super important. And the other point I like to look at is completion. Where are you finishing your turn? Okay? And I don't really want to talk about the completion phase. I want to talk about the completion itself. Okay? Now, we're going to look at where would be the completion phase and the initiation phase. However, I'm going to call this the ride phase. As you saw in the video of me driving the truck, there's that point where you stop steering the steering wheel and you just hold on to it and you ride through that, okay? I'm not trying to redefine the turn here. I'm just trying to come up with some terms that are easier to talk about and are more specific to base skiing when we're talking about a comma-shaped turn, that the ride phase obviously is longer than the initiation phase, okay? And so you're going to go from apex through the ride phase to completion, and then you're in initiation phase. All right, let's put it all together. So what we're looking at here is 2 points and 2 phases. Apex, ride, completion point, okay, where did you finish your turn? Then initiation, okay? And this is where, why are we going to talk about completion? Because maybe we're talking about rise line or something like that. So we want to identify where is completion with respect to the rise line, okay? And then initiation. Initiation is where you're going to be making your exotic maneuvers, is really where you're going to vary your skiing the most is in initiation, okay? And then you hit apex, and again, apex is how you determine how good your line is, where you are in relation to the gates, okay? And then you're back into ride phase. So in base skiing, we're going to look at this as the functional cues for base skiing. The proper, I've said it before, the proper position of the turn is determined by the apex. Now let's go over to the board here, okay? Now, when you're coaching, or when an athlete, or you're the athlete, are reviewing your video, you wanna, as simple as you can, look at where your apex is in relation to the gate. Is it here, above the gate and outside of the gate, or is it at the gate Okay, or is it below the gate and outside the gate? You're really never going to have an apex that's inside of the gate, but what you want to be looking at is this distance. How far outside of the gate is your apex? Okay, so when you're looking at your apex, you're looking at how far away from the gate it is, how far outside of the gate it is, and how far above or below the gate it is. And that's going to determine where your line was. I propose that in a normal course, or say a steep to moderately steep piece of terrain, that your apex should be above the gate and outside of the gate. Now, how far outside of the gate? This line right here represents the skis tracking through the snow. When I'm skiing and I'm making my most extended positions, if I measure from the outside of my foot to my inside shoulder, it's about 1 meter. That's what my biggest angulation is. If I get down on a chair and lean on my inside hip on a chair and I measure that, that's going to be about 1 meter. Okay, right there. So for my inside shoulder to clear that gate right there, I need at least 1 meter of space from that gate to my apex. Okay, and now when I'm making, if I'm high enough above the gate, you can see that my turn is already coming back towards the gate. So I need to be 1 meter plus this distance outside of the gate for me to go through my apex and then clear this gate cleanly with a simple brush of my shoulder. Now, if I'm less than 1 meter, okay, say I'm 0.8 meters right here, I'm going to need my inside shoulder to be somewhere in here. I'm going to be blasting through the gate. Okay, so when you're looking at your video, you want to be paying attention. How far outside of the course are you? All right, and now being above the gate. Again, on moderately steep terrain, it is my opinion that you should have your apex above the gate. Above the gate. Okay, so what we're looking for when you're skiing on a moderate pitch, you're looking for your apex to be up and out. Okay? And this is what I refer to as above the gate skiing. So when you're looking over, what you're trying to do when you're inspecting a course is, where's my apex going to be? And this is another reason I like to look at the apex as a point on the hill. Where am I going to put my apex that's above the gate and outside of the gate, where my feet are going to be, that allow me to come through and clear that gate with my shoulder and then have a clean completion below it, okay? And now completion, my completion point is going to be here, because I need my next apex to be here. Say my next gate is right here. My next apex, when I'm looking at the gate, the next gate, here's my apex right here. I want it to be right here. I want my apex to be there, up and out, so I can clear that gate cleanly and be clean. So where does my completion need to be? Here. And so once you've determined those 2 points, you have apex, completion. Now you're looking at the direction of travel for your ride phase. Okay? And now initiation, it's much tighter. There's a lot of action in that. Okay, this is going to be where a lot of things are happening. We're going to be quick. This is where you're determining what kind of maneuver you're making to get to this apex again. Are you going to be in simple base position? Are you just going to deviate the skis a little bit? Do you need to deviate the skis a lot? Okay, say you get below this and you're down here and your completion's here. You still need this apex. So you're going to go for a longer drift, okay, deviate the skis into the fall line, then find them. Okay, this turns into an exotic maneuver. All right, so the way we're looking at this is our points: apex, completion, ride phase, and initiation. Ride phase is where you're standing on the ski long, where you're trying to target and find your completion, and initiation is where you're getting your skis back to the fall line, finding this apex, whatever move you got to do to get that, and then have a clean completion is going to allow you to have a successful and fast run. Okay. Up and out. The amount of up and out is going to be terrain dependent. Okay? Let's just draw. We'll go with this single one up here. Okay. Finish the completion down here a little more. Say you're on something very steep. Okay, let's purple equals steep. The gate's going to be down here. Okay. The gate is, or the apex is further up and away from the gate on something steep. Let's Let's move to moderate. Red equals moderate terrain. On moderate terrain, you don't need the apex to be as far up and out. So your apex can be lower, closer to the gate, and doesn't have to be as far outside. Okay? Now we're getting into, let's say, easy terrain. Easy terrain is still on a pitch, but it's easy. Well, you're going to come in here, you're going to be less up and out. All right? And then lastly, we're going to get into flat terrain. Go some pink. Flat. Flat terrain, you can allow the gate or the apex to be at the gate. You still need to be out because you need to give your feet room so your shoulder clears the gate, right? So you still need that at least a meter there, but you can be at the gate with that. So as terrain varies, your position of the apex determined by the gate changes, okay? The steeper the terrain, the further up and out you want to be. The more moderate the terrain, you get a little closer to the gate, okay, until it gets flat and where your apex can be at the gate, okay? There is one other case, all right, where you come off of a pitch onto a flat. And you'll hear coaches say it a lot, run it out. And what run it out means is that you are going to make, let me draw another one here. So you're going to come off of a pitch. This is a pitch now. And this is a flat. And you can run it out. This is where you want to take speed off of the pitch, onto the flat, go as fast as you can, and you can let your up and out get away from you a little bit. And so you run this out, and running it out means that your apex is now below the gate. Okay? So you're not looking for elevation above the gate anymore. Here's the gate up here. Okay? You're letting it go. Now apex is below the gate, still outside. It's always going to have to be outside. At least that meter plus whatever you want to have your shoulder have cleared that. Okay? But you're taking that speed and you're going. Now, you're not going to run it out and stay below the gate all the way across the flat. You might get one, maybe two gates of running it out. But eventually you need to have apex at the gate to be efficient and fast with your skiing and maintain clean completions. However, this is the major exception to the rule of up and out, where you're running it out onto the flat. This position, let's get back to the steep, moderate, easy position up here, is independent of your ski maneuver at initiation. Whatever you're doing, okay, let's draw this guy again. Whatever maneuver you're making at initiation, whether it be a stivet, just a nice base position maneuver, a feather, or whatever's happening here at initiation doesn't really matter as long as your apex is up and out of the gate. Okay? You want to, that's why the apex is a point that we're looking at, because you need to maintain this point up and out of the gate for the entire course to have clean completions, to be efficient with your skiing, to maintain speed. So whatever's going on here really doesn't matter. There's no like, when I stivet, my apex moves to here. When I feather, my apex moves to here. Any of that. Your apex is determined by where it needs to be for you to have a clean completion. Your initiation is determined by what you need to get to the apex so that you can have clean skis going through here. Okay? That's really all I have for turn shape and line choice. I really think it's that simple. Again, the goal is clean completions. Okay, and this is a place where I think coaching can really help you and feedback can really help you. So if you have a video of you skiing out there and you want my opinion and I want me to take a look, then find me on the GiveGo app. This is a great product. It's available in the App Store. I've talked about it before. Find me specifically, Ski Dad. This is my logo. You're looking for that guy. Send me your video. We'll talk about it. We'll look at it and try and help you become the best ski racer you can be. Again, this is a value for value presentation. This is my expertise that I'm giving out to the world. There's a lot of coaches that get paid a lot of money to have these kind of insights. So what is it worth to you to get this kind of coaching or this kind of a philosophy for free on YouTube? Please like and subscribe. Is it worth a cup of coffee? Is it worth a seminar or a clinic? You know, those AAU back-to-back-to-back baseball champions, those DVDs were $50 a piece. You know, how much is a summer camp? Is it worth going to a summer camp and not having a good idea of what your kids are doing out there? You're paying a lot of money. So what is this worth to you? What is your kid having the best year of his life worth to you? Please, if you find some value in this, send some value my way. I would really appreciate it. Up next in base skiing, we are going to talk about the exotic maneuvers. We'll go into a deep dive on that and kind of really get into the minutia of when and where you're going to be using what maneuvers and what maneuvers look like and how they work. So thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep shredding out there.